Pleasant good afternoon to each and every one of you in Georgetown, Guyana, and the diaspora and elsewhere. Friends all, before I continue, I would like you all to subscribe to this channel and press the bell so you will get the next updated video. Every time I think of Guyana, I have to shake my head in sorrow. But when I look at the news, I get more confused because Guyanese refuse to acknowledge what is going on. But I can understand what created it. The two-party system from the 1950s all the way through until came the 60s and what take place and after the independence of the country with the help of Peter Diga in a coalition government with Paz Burnham in the PNC. Friends, from 1966 to now, we're great-grandchildren of slaves, and those who arrive, cheap labor, get Guyana as an independent country as they claim. One claim emancipation after, and the other one claim day of arrival. Well, you cannot serve two masters or live in two places at the same time. I quite agree that the ancestor, which is yours and mine also, both sides, came to Guyana without their free will. Or I could take it back and say the blacks especially, because they were sold into slavery, which was a business. And if slavery is bad, then God would have to answer the question why Abraham had sex with his slave Hagar. And I wonder, during the 50s and 60s, every nation wanted to be free. But if it was not for World War II and Germany, the world would not have been free today from colonial master. I ask many questions. Is it because the people in Guyana, the two major races, don't understand politics? And at the same time, the fight for African freedom and liberation all over? And Indians in India? Because all you had was a big empty radio listening, a tube radio listening, and not everybody could afford it. So I can accept the past to be a transmission area. But right now, what is going on? Let's examine the progress between the two parties. Under the PNC with the late Paz Burnham, racism was the #1 goal. 90-something% all civil servants was one race, black. Police, teachers, postmen, postwomen, and many other things, and too many slave mentality and racial tension amongst all other races from the blacks. Now when I said that, people said, Karai is a madman. We didn't do Indian and other race, nothing. Friends, don't be illiterate and stupid at the same time, or ignorant, because your high note is picking up because of tribal affair. If I have to name people, how many Aubrey, John, Jones, and Brown, and Henry they don't have? But you put it in general. When God says he drowned the world, but he saved it, why y'all don't write you a letter questioning? And he said this time he going to burn the world. Hell, why y'all don't question him and tell him why he going to burn the whole world? There are other places better than some. But not your fault. Due to lack of understanding and the illiterateness of your educational standard, I have to accept you're fat before you're shit. And I put it straight. There's a young Indian woman was on the program the other day as she arrived back in Canada, America, or elsewhere, where she speak about leaving Jagan Airport into the city about the street. Yes, because she living in a country where she see nice roads and everything. What did Burnham do for Guyana during his period before he fake dead or he dead? Answer me. Friends, you got to analyze what's happened. Imagine Mr. Reed, the late Ptolemy Reed, is from a place in the Essequibo called Dartmouth or Dartmouth. I went there, and that's where he's from, on the roadside. All their house was actually looking for a hard breeze blowing and fall down. And those are leaders? These men was full in their pocket, didn't care about the ordinary people. And Bernard was so insultive, he called the armed police and army and criminal dogs of war. Think of it. Because blacks was told to hate Indian people especially. But again, not all out of 200-something thousand blacks. 70 to 80,000 give and take. God can open heaven and accept you, honorable. But Indian, I have to think of it, what number to give him. Because anywhere they go, they love to fight for land. They love to bribe courthouse, judge, magistrate. Lawyers like to make deal, bribe the police. So I wanted to know if they can bribe God to go to heaven, my friends, and they love the Obia man and the Kali Mai church. They love to humiliate and insult one another. But given where they came from, the blacks came from tribal affair, Indian came from caste system. Why the Chinese and Portuguese don't go on like that? But talk about development, let's congratulate Burnham for some great development. The man really developed the country. He closed down the bauxite company in Mackenzie and the one in Berbice. That's a plus. To make the black race who was depending on the bauxite in Mackenzie to make a good living suffer. That is his production, number one. And Reynolds, I think, on Berbice. Then he messed with the yellow bus. Then he started to talk nationalization. But I must be honest, he had an advisor, Chetty Jagan. And he started to ban food and all kind of things. But Indian and others get rich on the black market and bringing in the contraband. Guyana was ruled by a dictator named Fos Burnham, followed by the advisor Chetty Jagan. There were no development. Some people could hardly make it. Whorehouse and rum shop was the order of the day. Plenty young women was raped and no justice. Many had to lay down to have sex to hold a job. Advantage took them. That is why plenty young black children are dying in accident as much as Indian. You might lie to people, you can't lie to God. He's taking your offspring out quick to show you, but it seems like you're not understanding what's happening. He's taking your generation link out. But Indian, like my next door neighbor, Mr. Ali Latry Bagastone, and a man named Mohanlal in Canaan who blocked a egress and egress road. And we're going to touch that in a minute, but let's deal with this young Indian woman. She said that, I don't know if people are telling her to apologize or party pressure. She did not say anything to offend nobody. If you're in politics and you cannot accept criticism, man, give up the job. Man criticize God and the devil. Man criticize the prophet. Even the Muslim criticize Jesus, and Jesus, Christian criticize Muhammad and Moses and all of them, plus Ram and Krishna, Sita and Mother Kali and Mother Lakshman. You bloody ignorant fools. Wake up! Every crime that was committed to innocent people shall be reopened. And if I abandon the place where I have the record, the family is alive, somebody can talk, you ain't coming out of that country. I call on the US, Canada, and England. Every Guyanese who's coming there now, especially government ministers, police officers and army, customs, let them pay for a lie detector test, and I will give you 20 questions to ask them. Don't allow garbage to come into America that already got plenty garbage from other countries. Haters. We got plenty of people in this country don't like white people, but you're still allowing them to come. Plenty in Guyana don't like the white and the Caribbean as much as many others. But you, European white people, still allowing them to come. India don't want their own Indian people. Many the army put them out. Burma killing them. India don't want them. What does those Indians know about their own make they won't accept them? Imagine, Indian went over to Trinidad and they helped to write off the debt that Burnham had acquired due to the oil. And they could lose the prime ministership in Trinidad. Ladies and gentlemen, I must be honest, under the PNC is a lot of development. Destruction and racism is 1 and 2. And many people, Burnham used to talk about party card. The PPP is sole corruption. But I could guarantee you they are not racist. They are Indian. Follow the animal. They are about money. They are about progress. They will make Guyana look better than Dubai if they got the vision and spend the money right. And yes, they've been accused of a lot of things. A lot of things. But one thing I could tell you, I don't think the PPP was sent out to beat up other political people when they're campaigning. Only the PNC have that trademark. And if you want to know, the Speaker of the House, Mr. Manzu, went through that in the 90s by the Botanic Garden, where one old him was the driver of the vehicle, and they take away his married ring and maybe slap him up. You mean to tell me you're going to threaten me, beat me, and want I support you? Man, y'all better wake up on the wrong side of the pillow. Friends, so I'm saying to the young woman, if you receive me, do not make any apology you was not wrong. The country, as Donald Trump once says, the third world country is like a shithole. He's right. Too much corruption, thieving, and too many wrong things are happening. But America is also responsible for a lot of it in Central and South America and some African nations, especially also in Guyana. But they can do something to better it. Then you have Mr. Ramjatana Nagamutu and Mrs. Hughes from AFC, cross the floor and join PNC. The enemy of the Indians and other race under the Burnham regime, not height. And what do you expect you pick up? Ramjatana Nagamutu. Corruption mixed with power-drunk people and drunkard. Well, I don't know much of Hughes, Mrs. Hughes. But again, also an Amerindian woman that couldn't be leader in the UF when the UF was based on Amerindian people. My friends, I will tell you the PPP might be corrupt, but you could see business all over the country. You can see it. The only thing Mr. Ali have to do now, enforce the law. Any police get caught beating, shooting, and robbing people must be off the force and jail and banned from any government job. And the US and Canada and others must know about them so they don't get to leave the country to bad name Guyana abroad. Okay? I think the country is in for the great footing. But just as how we are fretting with the red shot and thinking that that's good, which give a man a chance who want to progress the country. I know Barrett learned from the time to now. And any man killed must be tried, get guillotine. Any man lie on a man, get a guillotine. And if you say something and you cannot prove it, and you beat a man and put him in prison wrongfully, judge, magistrate, prosecutor, and police, once it's proven that you railroad that man wrongfully, none of you must escape what you done to him. Okay? If you do escape it, your children shall answer the sin or your blessing. As God said, not me, Jesus. So, then a young woman from Apnu, a young Afro-Guyanese, brilliant, crossed the floor to the PPP. And there's a big argument about soup drinker, Uncle Tom, and all them bullshit. What about Ramjatana Nagamutu, Mr. Norton? What about them? Did any one of them condemn when the black people beat up those Indians in Enmore or Rosal, where it is? Did any one of them? Many was a supporter who get beat, by the way. Anyhow, God is greater than man. You can appoint, but he can disappoint. Right, Ramjatan? I want you to get that letter to show my son had pled guilty and the judge all who involved. Because we have the paper that he was on bail. Shamin Mohammed, horseman. Please, these hands won't touch all, but I call on the US, Canada, and England, and the Caribbean. Don't allow you all exit out of Guyana to go to their country. You all are polluted and a disease must not be transported into another man's home. Right? Because this trial will take a while. We have time. You may know my son and me. You don't know who's behind us. But remember, America gets what they want. And remember these words. We serve them. They are the architect of something called human rights. And I want you to know that, and freedom and democracy. We have a lot of rotten rope, yes. But what do you expect? It's a big country dealing with the world. But by the will of God, we are on the path to change. So, Mr. Ali, you are doing good. Keep on doing what you're doing. But strengthen the law and investigate our case. Land problem, we want justice, not money. But our type of justice, you may not like it. When you rob a man his property, or you lie on him and cause him to be in jail, and beaten by police officer without taking him to medical, you don't need pardon, you need to be executed. All right? Since you're linking with Saudi, we're going to use some of the Arab law. But I call upon those who was involved to go and report it to the UN, the embassy, and they will set up an independent office so we could have those reports. But deal with Mr. Mohalal and the Aliat Latri Bagastong and let your surveyor them tell you the truth. If not, then I can say Kuli love to thief land. That's why Venezuela claiming 60%. Because who's the leader? And Suriname claiming New River. It don't look good, Mr. Ali. I'm not saying we thief. It's an Amerindian country. And if you believe in Allah, you'll get an Amerindian as your vice president. All right? Why it got to be black and Indian alone? Come up this bullshit. Put an Amerindian as your vice president, please. So we could deal with these joint borders and give all 9 tribes 45% of the resources worth of the country. Okay? Have a good day, and may God be with all of you. And once again, I am your host, George Correa. Thank you, and have a good day.